man got to turn the page with a rich man in his summer house, singing just leeway, not for love. But his pants are down, his covers blow. Dream of politicians throwing stones, so the kids they dance and shake their bones, but it's all too clear we're on our own.
Then just let this time speak to the parts of your soul that has to be spoken to. Moments. Gracious and loving God, in the presence of one another, and for those who are suffering in this great state of California, we pray that as we listen to these testimonies, that we will be open, that we will be able to hear the stories, that we will be able to see one another, that we will be able to listen to the pain, but not only to listen and to see and to empathize, but now to take action and to do our part and to speak up and listen and show up and be there for the least, the last, the lost, and the left out. And it's this prayer we pray. And all of God's people said, Amen. Ashe, ashe. Ashe, ashe.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon. Can you hear me? I speak really loud so my ears can't engage my projection. My name is Ruth Ibarra, and I'm part of the Northern California Poor People's Campaign. I was a moral witness in D.C. in June, and I've been part of the Poor People's Campaign here in Sacramento for the last 7 years. Just a little bit about myself. I am the daughter of a farm worker. I worked the farms, the fields ever since I was, 3 years old, picking prunes, picking plums. Kiwis, peaches, whatever. We lived in a very two-room house with about sometimes 14 people in the house. So I know poverty. I know deep childhood poverty. My swimming pool was, I say, the irrigation ditches of the walnut trees next to our house that were infested with pesticides. So this campaign, the Poor People's Campaign, is dear and near to my heart. I am now a state worker. I work for the people of California to ensure that they have housing. And I am a proud union member and a proud union steward because I believe that unions is what keeps a living wage, and fights for a living wage. And they help or maintain the working class, the middle class. So we are here today because we all believe that poverty should end, that we all should have living wage, that we all should have health care, that we all should have housing. So today, one of the things that I said during the press conference is that we cannot speak for those that are impacted by poverty. They have to speak for themselves because they know how it feels. They know the struggles of everyday life without having food, without having a roof over their head. We're having to think about where they're gonna get something to eat for the day, or money, or whatever their needs are for that moment. So we're going to begin. We have 22 individuals that are here to give us their testimony. And we're going to start with Valerie Williams from Sacramento Climate Coalition.
Thank you. Good morning. What brings me to the Poor People's Campaign today is the sheer fact that this revival of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s movement is still necessary in 2018. As a child of the late 1960s, early 70s, yes, I'm telling my age, I've witnessed the success of the civil rights victories that so many of the ancestors fought for. And entering my adulthood in the 80s and 90s, I had the unfortunate experience to painfully watch the obliteration and annihilation of those civil rights victories, along with just the devastating effects to our environment being destroyed pretty much by the greed and evils of capitalism. I belong to the Sacramento Climate Coalition since 2015, and at that time, Valero Refinery in Benicia was intended to transport highly flammable oil on trains through Sacramento. An accident on these proposed trains would have been ecologically devastating. Learning that my family, along with so many of all of you in this room and other Sacramento residents, lived, worked, or attended schools on the designated quote-unquote blast zone, I just had to get involved. Now, we won this battle, but of course the war against ecological devastation is an unending one. Environmental racism is real. I'm gonna say that one more time. Environmental racism is real. Asthma affects my family. Two out of three of my grandchildren have asthma. And this affects so many other families I know. I want a clean environment for my 5 daughters and my 3 grandchildren. I know simple raking will not solve our state's wildfire crisis. But I would like our elected officials to know that along with community input, we have to come up with solutions so no more Californians not only lose their homes, but their livelihood to another wildfire. Also, these solutions are important. To me, as I just mentioned, my grandchildren have asthma, so other Californians do not have to suffer from the bad air quality that the wildfires create. So I am here today demanding oil corporations immediately stop polluting our air and water that we need for survival. Lastly, we demand that government officials in this building listen to us. We demand the right to health and an end to ecological devastation. I am sure all of us are sick and tired of repeating Fannie Lou Hamer's famous phrase, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. We demand jobs with livable wages, clean air, clean water, affordable housing, quality and accessible health care for all. And most of all, I am here today because I care about my community's continued existence, prosperity, but most importantly, equality, equity, true justice, and liberty for all. Healthy communities are prosperous communities. People over profit.
Next, we have Beth Gonzalez from Placer People of Faith Together. Is Beth here?
I know she said maybe she's not in line, maybe she's still in the line.
Okay.
People can't find the building.
Okay, we're moving on to David Andre. Is David here?
I don't think so.
Next.
Renee Newton?
Yes.
Renee Newton, a parent from Sacramento House Homeless Organizing Committee, Poverty Homelessness.
Well, welcome to the 2018 Northern California Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival. Good morning, I'm Miss Renee Newton. I'm a homeless advocate and community resource lady, and I'm also a distributor of the Homeward Street Journal, and I'm a part of SHOCK, which is Sacramento Homeless Organizing Committee Poverty Committee. And I want to say a huge thanks to Cat Williams and Shock and Loaves and Fishes for giving me the opportunity to take a stand to fight against systematic racism, poverty, war, economy, homelessness, crisis, and economical devastation. But today is the day for positive changes to make California great again. I'm honored to tell you my personal testimony about being a single mother homeless. It was the hardest life trial I ever had to endure. Me and my 2 awesome kids, my son Amani, who is now 17 years old, and my daughter 18-year-old Ariana, we became homeless early 2017. Due to a racist property management, my Section 8 had already been completed and recertificated, and the inspection had passed to follow through with the next year. But because of a $50 new child support printout that the child support system was late on, it was only 2 days late, and they evicted me and my kids out on the streets. I was in Section 8 for 14 long years, lost my Section 8 because of it, and it was the hardest devastation. But not only that, you know, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I guess I should be able to whoop Superman's butt by now. I'm just saying. Because doing that, always said, you know, the strong much y'all survived. But at that same time when on my moving, the day of moving, my neighbor I knew for almost 2 years through my family and friends stole my U-Haul truck for 6 days, ran up over $3,600 in damages for U-Haul for their truck, and we couldn't have anything that we owned. Everything was on the truck, so we lost everything. So we were really devastated. I was never late on my rent and was a great tenant, and they refused to renew my lease. So, you know, we just had to learn to be humble and count our blessings, and I had to make a way. This is the truth. The truth is when I found out seeking immediate housing was so frustrating, there was no immediate resources. They tell you to call 211 and shelters. The waiting period for shelters is 6 to 9 long weeks. No immediate. But not even that, low-income housing apartments, even though I have an income, the waiting list for that is 1 year to 6 years for the waiting list. Most shelters would not accept my son. He was 16 at the time. They won't accept boys over the age of 14. So they lie and say that there's resources, but there's really none. So you're stuck out there. What are you supposed to do? You know, and then now places ask for 3 times the rent, but low-income families, their monthly income is no more than $1,400 a month, and they're asking for over $3,200 for you to have the income for your own place. Most places, when you have a fresh eviction, they don't accept it. They will not take you, not even hear what you got to say about even being a good tenant. You have to have the most prior eviction is 2 years to 7 years old for an eviction. So all I can say today is keep your head up. It will soon come to pass, and all lives matter. All lives matter. Hold on to your faith. Count your blessings. We need to unite and make a difference. And one act of kindness can change someone's life. And to the children in poverty, I know it's hard. Try to stay in school and be the best you can. Follow your dreams, and God will make a way. There is still hope for a better tomorrow.
Yes.
One of the things we found out is that, you know, rent's going up and up, and the rent's too damn high, that's for sure. Okay, Beth Gonzalez from People of Faith, together.
Good morning, my name is Beth Gonzalez.
Push the white button. See the white button? Can you move the piece of paper so you can see it?
I don't think there's not one there.
It should be working some more than Valerie used.
No, they're not on.
They're on. It's on.
Good morning, my name is Beth Gonzalez. I'm representing Placer People of Faith Together, which is a federation of 20 interfaith communities working on social justice issues in Placer County. I'm speaking for a 61-year-old white male who runs out of food from food stamps 3 weeks into the month. He gets canned food from a food bank during the 4th week until his payments come where he can get food stamps. When his microwave broke, he did not have a way to have hot food for 4 months. He lived for 6 months without a refrigerator. When he gets cash, it is cheaper for him to live at McDonald's than to buy fresh food. Fresh food is not an option for him. He lives in substandard housing. He does not have a car, can't drive. He relies on friends for transportation. He has lived in poverty for many years. He is a member of the incarceration system, the school-to-prison system. He was condemned to poverty after serving a prison sentence, and he could never get a job. There was not a way for him to earn a living because no one would hire him. Incarceration, paying his debt to society, has a never-ending debt, and that can never be repaid. So the system of poverty is larger than not having money, right? The system of poverty includes all those people who are incarcerated and can never get a job. And the incarceration is part of the poverty struggle. which is part of the school struggle of school to prison complex. So we have many, as Californians, as people, we have many, many issues. Placer People of Faith Together works hard on every social issue to create new laws, new ways for people to have a better way of life. Thank you.
David?
He's not here.
He's not here? Okay. Isabel Ace Mejia Sanchez, representing student from Los Palos, California.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Isabel Mejia Sanchez, and I'm from Dos Palos in the community of Merced County, one of the poorest counties in California that encompasses 300 communities being impacted by poverty. My home has always been the Central Valley, here where communities have been most impacted by these issues. I'm only one of many young people in my community who has been affected directly by California's poverty and drinking water crisis, and it has gone on for far too long. Dos Palos residents have had difficulties with water contamination for years, especially those in more rural areas with wells. In 2016, the level of TTHMs, or total halomethanes, the byproducts of disinfectants, in our water was nearly double the legal limit of 80 parts per billion. And in 2017, it continued to exceed the maximum contaminant level allowed in drinking water for almost 2/4 of the same year. TTHMs are carcinogens. They have demonstrated to cause cancer when exposed to for long periods of time. As a low-income area, the cost of filtering systems can prove difficult to afford for residents. Personally, I've had neighbors come to me asking to refill water tanks and recall the times our filter and boiler broke when I was younger. Watching yellow water spill from our taps and watching students collect water bottles passed out of my elementary. Access to safe and affordable drinking water is a right in California. Dos Palos and other poor communities are just as entitled to it as other populated areas. It's time for elected officials in the Central Valley and across California to demonstrate true leadership in this crisis. My generation should not be hindered by such a medieval issue as the basic human right to water and poverty. We should be striving to succeed, not living in fear of contaminants and when we will eat. No one should have difficulty obtaining a necessity in this first world country, especially not in a state that produces such a large percentage of the country's food and supplies so much to its economy. Generations before me have invested and have continued to invest their time and efforts into this, so that I and my generation wouldn't have to. Yet here I am. They have fought so hard so that their children wouldn't have to live with toxic tap water or poverty, yet here we are. We call on legislators to support the underserved America. If officials fail to be the leaders we need them to be, my generation is ready to continue this movement. Thank you.
Gina Mercer, Vice President of the California Central Valley Journey for Justice. Gina?
Gina was ill, but I have her testimony, if I would be okay to read.
Go right.
Okay. Gina Mercer lives in Atwater, California. Says, I was homeless on the streets of Merced for almost 4 years. And that time I saw just how the police and local government treated the homeless, constantly running us out of stores and businesses. I would go into a store to buy something to eat and drink and go outside to sit down. I wouldn't be there 2 minutes when either the owner of the store or the cops would run me off. My money was good enough to buy from them, but not to sit and enjoy. The police are very rude. They talked down to me like I was a piece of trash. I received a few illegal camping tickets and tried to go to court to take care of them, only to find I wasn't on the docket. I was to check back every 2 weeks to see when I go to court. So I do this and I check 1 week. The next week I get stopped by police, and guess what? I've got a warrant for failure to appear. That followed me 3 times, happened to me 3 times. Our local government, city manager, tells the cops to go out, make us as uncomfortable as they can, so they will leave the city of Merced. That's his way of helping the homeless run us off to be another city's problem. I don't know about you, but that's not the kind of person I want in charge. It's not just him. I've heard this happening all over the United States. So if every city runs their homeless out of there, where are they going to go? Well, they will go to places that are not so safe. In Merced right now, there's a gang of young men that are hunting the homeless and hurting them. 2 of my friends got a gun put in their face and beat up with a baseball bat. While they were hitting my friends, one of the baseball holders was yelling at the others to kill them. I've heard about this happening 3 more times. We have also known of homeless persons' tents being set on fire or assaulted. I'm now in an apartment thanks to Sierra Saving Grace. I believe they put me there thinking it might shut me up, but it hasn't. I'm grateful for that. I feel really bad at the same time because some of my friends are still on the streets. I'm searching for a job, no luck yet. My husband of 23 years died on the streets in Merced. He was houseless and died under a bush behind a building. He drank himself to death. I haven't drank any hard alcohol since then. I pray that our government will learn better ways of helping the poor because their ways only work for them.
That's right.
Nobody should live or die like that. Thank you. Gina Mercer.
Diana Mejia, parent from Merced, California. She's going to talk about healthcare issues.
Hi, healthcare issues. My healthcare issues, healthcare should be for all. Unfortunately, I know this is not true. This is an example. Back in July of this year, I was seen by a podiatrist. The podiatrist ordered me to go get an MRI. He gave me a prescription to get a boot with an extra heel for my right foot. I have yet to find out the results, up still to this day, of my MRI. Why is this, you may ask? Because the doctor had personal emergency, then he went on vacation, then he rescheduled me 4 times alone in November. And I have yet to find out if I'm doing more damage to my foot or not. It's unfair for me to still wait until December 18th. And that's if I get to see him on December 18th for my results. That was done back in July. And I'm only supposed to use the boot for 2 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
What's wrong with the picture? As much as I've complained to the clinic, and I have complained, it gets fallen on deaf ears. It's not fair. I think it's because I am a low-income person with California Health Alliance instead of having a good grade of insurance. But I am a human being that deserves their rights just as well as anybody else. Your insurance should be taken care of as equal as mine, but unfortunately it's not. Thank you very much for your time.
From Bay Area Poor People's Campaign.
Hi. Yeah, from the Bay Area, and I'm also with the U.S. Prostitutes Collective, which is part of that. I'm a single mother and grandmother, and I'm an immigrant. I've lived in poverty, been on welfare, had low-wage jobs, struggled to pay the rent, lived in houses with rats, an outside bathroom, and no heat. When welfare is cut, or our jobs don't pay enough, or we have debt, or some other crisis, many mothers in similar situations to mine have had to resort to so-called crimes of poverty, like prostitution, to be able to feed our kids. Women with children are 73% of the poor in the U.S. Women with children are the fastest growing population among the homeless. Those of us who are migrants are denied our right to asylum and or have our children taken from us at the border. The poverty imposed on us is violence, not caring if we and our children live or die. But we are fighting back and are not ashamed of anything we've had to do to survive. Women produce and reproduce the whole human race, but the caring work we do is not valued or paid for. When welfare is cut, the number of mothers arrested for prostitution goes up. Mothers are the fastest growing population going to prison, and children are taken from us and end up in foster care and put up for adoption. Reverend Theo Harris, one of the joint coordinators of the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival, said, "Take away our poverty, not our children." And it is dangerous out there on the street. Over 200 black women, many of them sex workers, have been victims of serial murders and are missing in Los Angeles. And now a man, as you've seen in the news, has just admitted to killing 90 women. We demand protection from rape and murder. And all we ever get is more police crackdowns. And black and other women get the brunt of racist, sexist enforcement. We're part of the Poor People's Campaign because the war economy is impoverishing us, destroying our environment, and forcing us to leave our countries. It's got to end. Poverty, sexism, and racism have got to end. Homelessness and criminalization have got to end. Thanks.
Crystal Sanchez, Reckless Charity Entertainment.
Right here. Hi, my name is Crystal Sanchez. I'm the founder of Reckless Charity Entertainment, Inc. Our mission is to help people in...
Right button.
Got it. Our mission is to help people in need, one person at a time. We specifically focus on our low-income and homeless community, getting the necessities that they need. I'm working on my bachelor's degree in criminal justice to specifically advocate for those in need. According to the U.S. Interagency Council, California holds the highest record for the amount of homeless, approximately 135,000. The point-in-time report for Sacramento County in 2017 shows that 3,665 homeless, which there has been an estimated 30% increase on top of the fire victims this year. My social club collects with 3 other groups. We collaborate with other little local Facebook groups. We serve approximately 1,200 to 1,400 people a month, all based off of donations. The people who attend these events would astonish you. We serve people on the streets, people on SSI, family with children with no housing, our veterans, also those with disabilities. All of us running these events are by no means rich. We are the poor people helping the poor. Issues I have heard on the streets that come into play as to why they are on the streets. People are not making enough money to keep up with the rising housing rates. We have all these people on the streets and the funding just isn't there. We need to pull together the funding and quit spending money out of the general fund on things like chairs at approximately $500,000 for the convention center. We need solutions, not just cycles. I did my college final on this. I came up with shipping container apartments. They're cheaper than tiny houses. Plus, they're almost indestructible, fireproof, waterproof, tornado-proof. We have almost 5,000 people on the streets in Sacramento County, under tarps and in tents if they're lucky, in these freezing temperatures. We had a freeze warning yesterday, last night. 3 years ago, a man died on City Hall's doorstep. We don't need this to happen again. We need you to hear that people are living paycheck to paycheck. Many on the streets end up with PTSD, drug problems, and the mess is, trash is everywhere. This is becoming a city problem and a state problem, which drives complaints, which then wastes police time and city money. California needs to understand homelessness is a baseline for a lot of our other problems. It is time for reform. It is time for us to step up as a community and as a society and get everyone on their feet. Put your feet on the street and see what it's really like. Thank you.
West from Sacramento Homeless Organizing Committee. The rest. Greg Schaefer, Northern California Poor People's Campaign.
Hello everyone, my name is Greg Schaefer. I served as a moral witness during the 40 days of direct moral action with the Poor People's Campaign, and I'm a member of the Northern California Poor People's Campaign. I'm also from Paradise, California, which was recently destroyed by the Camp Fire. I've been working there for the past several years as a mental health provider to disadvantaged and low-income children and their families with mental and behavioral health problems. I grew up in Paradise, and my parents have lived there for 28 years. We lost our home in the fire. Every cherished memory of my childhood, my friends, the places where we played, the blackberry bramble behind our house, the tree house that my dad built, the recently purchased home of my best friend and his wife and their baby daughter, and countless other friends, mentors, and loved ones have been lost. The setting and memories of my childhood, my parents' home, and the community that I have invested in have now become some of the earliest casualties of climate change. We are deeply grieved by the insinuation that our loss and the loss of 88 human beings and many more who remain lost are the fault of our insufficient forest management and not the horrifying effects of climate change. My parents are currently staying in a borrowed trailer in a nearby town, which, due to the recent rains, was at risk of flooding. There was a flash flood this last week. They're safe. We're lucky. Many of my clients and their families who already were in poverty, on the brink of homelessness or actually homeless, are now staying in their cars, staying with friends or family, staying in shelters which are scheduled to end shortly, or are staying in tents on the street. The housing crisis in Butte County was already a crisis. Before the fire, we had a 1.5 vacancy rate, which amounted to about 2,500 to 3,000 units. That was before the fire. Now this crisis has become a complete catastrophe. I've been serving at the East Avenue Church Shelter in Chico. There are hundreds of people who are without homes. These shelters are closing shortly. That shelter in particular is closing on Friday. There was frost on my windshield when I left Chico this morning. Paradise was primarily a retirement community and was very poor. Many of the evacuees are elderly, or in poor health, or have serious, grievous mental health conditions. I'm deeply concerned that this winter will be a matter of life and death for hundreds of unhoused and displaced persons. I'm asking that the legislature, in the short term, relax legislation around building codes, which are delaying critical alternative housing solutions like ADUs and tiny houses and other similar options. I also request that they relax and provide a solution to rental restrictions like income requirements, which are keeping people out of perfectly available homes. That's in the short term. In the long term, I request that the legislation recognize that this event was a direct result of climate change, and that we make every effort to halt the continued progress of catastrophic events like these, that we do everything we can within our power while we still are able to do so. Thank you.
Next is Allegra Casimir Taylor, the Village Project, Sacramento.
Actually, that's Allegra Taylor with the Village Advocates of Sacramento, and also wearing many hats as a community advocate. So I'm here today representing Sacramento Black Youth Leadership Project, and the Village Advocates of Sacramento, in addition to R.G. Henderson House Veterans Home. I am also a member of the Poor People's Campaign. I joined the Poor People's Campaign and decided to speak here at this hearing because I understand exactly where we are, especially here in the city of Sacramento. We've been housing homeless veterans since 2005. To be at a point to where we have to turn away vets because we have no more rooms is pathetic. In the city of Sacramento, where the wealthy, the 1%, are experiencing great lives. As the wealth of the wicked is being stored up, there are some of us that are the just that are waiting for those monies to trickle down. As an advocate for Black youth and having to assist with homelessness and the trauma and the effects, the adverse childhood experiences that are affecting our children today is a crime. It's a crying shame that our elected officials go home to their comfort to sit in the seats of privilege while their city is being failed by their very presence. It is a shame today in the city of Sacramento and in the state of California that we are dealing with homeless vets, homeless children, working mothers who get off work and sleep in their cars. It is a crying shame that no one cares. We, the people, have more power than we think we do. And as we stand in solidarity and stand up, stay loud, and continue to fight, we expect change. Amen. To our elected officials, you should be ashamed of yourselves. You should look in the mirror and see what it is that you're looking at. You're supposed to be serving the people, but the people are still suffering. You're supposed to be aiding and making laws that benefit us, the people. The people. The reason why you're sitting in the seats that you're sitting in is because of the people that put you there. Now, let me not act as though I am ignorant to the political climate that we live in. We do understand that that 1% think they have more authority and more power than the average person that walks the street. To the registered voter, to those who are not registered, take up the mantle of your people power. Join the fight for righteous sakes. Join the fight to change the situation that we're in. We can make a difference, but you gotta vote. You gotta register. It breaks my heart to watch the trauma in the Black community. It breaks my heart to know, yes, all lives matter. But all lives don't matter until Black lives matter, in my opinion. When Black lives are constantly being tortured by society in every aspect of life, I have to stand for Black people. And I'm going to continue to do that. I have no ill will to any other community. But unfortunately, if I don't speak up for the Black community, sometimes I wonder who will. This is a fight that's going to take more than just a little bit of us. It's going to take all of us. So if you're wealthy and you're listening to this, or you happen to see this, have mercy. Stand with us. We know that as poor people, people that are not wealthy, people that don't feel like we have a say-so, we know that you don't really care. We know that you don't care because you don't have a point of reference. Because your privilege has allowed you not to experience the pain, the trauma, the sleepless nights. I'm a mother and I'm a grandmother. You want to know what keeps me up at night? worrying about my children, worrying about my daughter who's a single mom caring for 2 kids, wondering how is it that she's going to be able to manage if anything happens. With rent reform not going into place, with that not passing, oh boy, did I not sleep that night. My daughter's a renter. I've got a 23-year-old son, he's a renter. I've got a 24-year-old daughter, they're renters. And we're living in a state where rent skyrockets. I made sure all of my children voted. I broke the next day when my daughter called me the day after the vote and said her rent was raised $100, knowing that she's barely making it now today. We the people, repeat after me, we the people. We the people. We have more power. We have more power than we think we do. It's up to us, people.
It is.
It's up to us. We need to hold our elected officials accountable.
Yes.
We need to contact them every opportunity we get. When we don't see changes in our community, when we see poverty and our people are still suffering, it's time for us as a people to stand in solidarity, to speak up, to fight. The struggle continues, and we are the ones that's going to make the difference. Together, we make the difference. Thank you.
Next up is Reverend Monica Cross from the Women's Economic Agenda Project.
Coming. Can you call other people up so they can sometimes?
After her, it's going to be Professor Kimberly King, Kingsley, Tammy Rosell, Julieta Martinez, Blanca Lozano. If you guys could come up, please, take a seat.
Puede sentar ahí.
Is the professor here?
Yes.
Good morning. I represent the transgender community. I am also a member of the Poor People's Campaign. I am a part of the Laney community. I'm also a minister. So what I see is a very immoral injustice of our day. In a state that is as wealthy as California, poor people are an outrage to everything that's right and just. So there are some students at Laney. Now, mind you, Laney has at least 14% of their students are homeless. These are students who are going to college, trying to get a better life, living in cars, living on the street. It is just not right. Meanwhile, we have agencies and people trying to build stadiums at Laney College. Something is not right. And so, once you have the Prentice Mayo, political science major, Prentice Mayo is a political science major at Laney who has suffered the grueling reality of homelessness in Oakland. During his time without secure housing, Mayo dealt with drug addiction and imprisonment. His own experience causes him to be concerned with youth that are victims of the housing crisis. These young people would wear the same clothes every single day, Mayo said. The common phrase of, "I'm struggling. I am struggling." Has any of you ever struggled? You know what it's like to struggle, and you're still trying to go to school and get good grades. Now, he's living in a subsidized apartment near downtown Oakland. Mayo reflected on the many moments when he did not know where he would lay his head. Mayo even had a part-time custody of his daughter, and his housing situation affected her too. Life is complicated, and we should make it more complicated than it already is. But it seems a logical thing we do. The conflict being a father and dealing with the emotional and physical strain of homelessness took a toll on his relationship with some of the other homeless people he would never interact with. See, this part engages mental health for the homeless community. In a perfect world, there would be mental health professionals in the homeless community, actually working with the homeless community. Oh, it might be too much, but that's what should happen. Being homeless made Mayo vulnerable to those around him. Stereotypes of the homeless population were inhumane and presented a false rhetoric, Mayo said. He experienced feelings of embarrassment and at times felt abandoned by his former community. Affordable housing is only for those who can afford it, Mayo said. The model need to be people before profit. Mayo believed that if individuals displayed more empathy for the homeless, there could be a margin for change. Next we have his profile of Anthony Stingley, hospitality and restaurant major. Anthony Stingley is a student in the Hospitality and Restaurant Management program at Laney and has been a resident of Oakland for 34 years. He has seen the drastic changes this city has faced in the last 10 years. This housing crisis means displacement. Stingley said, residents cannot maintain a decent quality of life. The anxiety and fear of being priced out of the market is something that is concerning. Due to past health challenges, Stingley has been categorized with permanent disability. He is apprehensive about the turning pages of this chapter of Oakland. He feels that people with disabilities should not feel that their living situation could make them one day non-existent. Affordable housing should provide security for those most at risk, Stingley said. This movement creates insecurity even for the working class. The area between downtown and Lake Merritt, where Anthony lives, has been hit hard with non-affordable housing. Gentrification has gone wild throughout California. Yeah, California is the fifth largest economy, but for who? But for who? Stingley mentioned how his landlords continue to be fair to the tenants living under rent control laws. He knows the changes are coming, but feels blessed that the owners of the property have not taken part in the gentrification around Lake Merritt. Housing should not be a matter of a person with a good heart. It should be a matter of the systemic support of human beings, sacred human beings.
Yeah, that's right.
It shouldn't be about the sacredness of money and profit, but the sacredness of people. Of course, that makes too much sense. Now, Oakland can allocate more funds and resources towards solving homelessness, Stingley said. But the pursuit of secure housing is a right for all people. Next, we have Terrence Williams, the communication major. Terrence Williams is a communication major at Laney, a Bay Area native. Williams has seen the housing crisis firsthand from San Francisco to Oakland. Williams is currently homeless. Sleeping in a warm place on a mattress made me feel secure, he said. Whether couch surfing or sleeping in his car, Williams feels that fear is not one of his main concerns. Williams has plenty of other things to worry about. He is also unemployed. However, he volunteered as a student leader for Umoja Obaka and would like the opportunity to establish a more firm form of income. Support services from the government are necessary, Williams said. It's hard to keep a job when you're sleeping on the streets. Homeless stereotypes plague the minds of employers, which makes it hard to work, he said. Despite all of this, Williams has been working towards transferring to Morehouse College or Howard University. He wants to use his experience to support others suffering from homelessness like he does. He says, I've been sleeping in my car. Thankfully, I was approved for residency at the tiny home village. People with homes should advocate for those without them, he said, and believe that advocacy can accomplish more than just what money can.
Can you read the Women's Economic Agenda Project?
My name is actually Kimberly King. There's a little typo on there.
Sorry.
That's all right, Kimberly King. And I'm a faculty member at Laney College, and I teach psychology and ethnic studies, and I'm also the program coordinator for the Umoja program. It's a student success program for African American students in the community college. I'm part of a teach-in committee that is also a Poor People's Campaign chapter at Laney College with Monica. So we have community members, faculty, students, and Laney staff. And we happen to have the editor of the Laney student newspaper as a part of our committee. And she wrote this article, and I'm going to read some of it. Her name is Michelle Snyder. Quote, there's only one place in America anybody is guaranteed a home over a roof over their head, and that's in prison, said Oakland community leader John Jones III when he spoke at the New Poor People's Campaign teach-in on October 30th at the Student Center at Laney. The myriad of entangled issues became exposed behind the problems of housing insecurity at the event, which featured a variety of speakers addressing the 50 or so students and faculty in attendance. Many of the speakers have experienced living through underlying issues that cause housing insecurities, such as navigating society after being released from prison, or attending school while working several jobs while still not having enough money for rent. Keynote speaker and San Jose anti-poverty leader Sandy Perry said there are estimated 7,000 homeless people in Oakland, but that number may not represent the entirety of the issue. We don't know the number of people couch surfing. Many people are too ashamed and embarrassed to talk about it. 7,000 is just the official number. Jones was paroled 6 years ago. Despite having a license to become an aircraft mechanic, he was homeless and unemployed for 18 months. He spent an entire year in a one-room shack with 10 people and no running water. A one-room shack with 10 people and no running water in Oakland. If someone said, I'm going to charge you to breathe air, he said, what would be your reaction? We already buy water. Why does rent exist? Everyone has a right to shelter. He suggested the simple solution of public-owned housing where no one pays rent. If your city is only giving you the minimum rights that your state allows, you have virtually no protection. We are the system. We are not outside. Laney English professor Roger Porter stated the homeless students started a homeless student support group. So now at colleges we have homeless student support groups. He said his inspiration to start the group happened when every semester some students say they are living out of their cars and are housing insecure. As the black population in Oakland has been cut in half, he said, the homeless population, African Americans make up 70% of the homeless population in Oakland. Recently retired Laney instructor Peter Brown is now a sculpture student who also helped organize the event. He was part of the More Cuts to Social Programs panel and said that everyone should think of themselves as teachers. All it takes to be a good teacher is to be a student who studies their surroundings. When we understand the mechanisms that work in the process, then we aren't victims of that process anymore. We're participants. This generation is a transformational one. Talk about the force that you are and can be. You're homeless? Talk to your friends about it. You're struggling? Talk to your friends about it. We are the force that make a new world. And just one more thing, I wanted to let you all know that the Umoja students from Laney did a presentation at the statewide Umoja conference, which was held in Riverside, and it was about student housing and homelessness. And it was a very well-attended, packed, standing room only. A third of the students raised their hand when I asked how many of you have experienced housing insecurity or homelessness. And at a statewide level, there's people that want to do something about it in the Umoja community. So we're going to look forward to working with you all around it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tammy Rosell. Julieta Martinez, Mother and Community Health Worker for Hayward Thomas Neighborhood. Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, Tammy. Let's do Tammy and then.
My name is Tammy Rosell. I'm a parent in Hayward Thomas Neighborhood through the Community Advisory Board. My children are 23, 21, 19, 15, 13, 11, and 4, and I have a 7-year-old granddaughter. Hayward Thomas Neighborhood has helped my family and my community a lot, and they've made a difference in our lives. It's helped my children by giving us hope. The Hayward Thomas Neighborhood has extended something that we haven't had. Hope is something that you can't take away, and once embedded, you can't change it. It's helped to improve our well-being by making a brighter future, extending a brighter future, and making a sure tomorrow. This matters to me because without this help, my family's situation would be bleak. Before Hayward Thomas Neighborhood, we were homeless. 7 children, my granddaughter and I, all in a hotel. And in the city that we stay, you can't stay longer than 21 to 28 days because then you become a resident. So all of the life that you live, all of the homework that's not completed or in the process goes into a sheet and quickly into your car if you have one, so that you can leave and try to secure the next place to make sure that you don't sleep in the car. Once housing was secured, we found a 1-bedroom. And as you can imagine, that's crazy. So many people in a 1-bedroom. But we made it work. When we got there, I knew that finances were tight. So I created a system to feed 10 people on $50 a week. And Hayward Thomas Neighborhood encouraged me to share with other people. I realized I wasn't by myself in the struggle. And I've since shared how to feed so many people. It can feed less, but how to help out if you don't have much money to make sure that you can eat and secure food for your family. Hayward Thomas Neighborhood also encouraged me to become an advocate and stand up for other people in the situation. I believe all children would do better by being a part of a Promise Neighborhood community, because it gives hope to the parents, it gives hope to the children. You have a family, or if you didn't have one before, you're not by yourself. There's someone that can help to catch you. There's someone that can talk to. You make friends. And you never have to walk alone again. California should extend this program to at least 20 locations nationwide.
Hi, my name is Julieta Martinez. I would like to give you an idea of what my life has been here at this country that I came 18 years ago. For 10 years, I had to work very hard in order to help my family well-being. My children are now 18, 14, and 3 years old. For many circumstances, I had to stop working, but I want to continue my education. I took English classes and eventually I earned my high school diploma. Then I took a training to be volunteer for a health center where I was able to develop some leadership skills, and by the time I became trainer for new volunteer promoters. Be part of some committees, engage in my children's schools and the community as well. I start to identify needs and concerns, fears, all related with poverty that affects not only Latino, but different ethnic groups in the city. It's difficult for families to have access to basic things because of language barriers, educational, health system, and civic understanding. Hayward Farms neighborhood has given me the opportunity to show that as an immigrant, I'm not criminal. I have many things to learn, but have some other things to share. Me and my family, as many immigrant families, we want the best for our children, and we want to give back to this country. Programs at Hayward Promise neighborhood that are inclusive allows community members to be proactive in the solution, doing teamwork to end child poverty. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Blanca Lozano, a Delhi resident from Merced County.
Buenos días a todos los que están presentes. Mi nombre es Blanca Lozano, vengo del condado de Merced. Mi pueblo donde vivo es Delhi. Vengo para hacerles saber que mi pueblo está contaminado con los altos niveles de arsénicos y otros contaminantes que el agua subterránea absorbe y también el aire. Se contaminan por los mismos químicos que usan los agricultores. Esto ha causado la enfermedad más seria, que es el cáncer que tenemos por el momento en niños y adultos. Es bueno que los agricultores siembren sus productos, frutas y vegetales. Son necesarios para el ser humano, pero que haya un balance en el uso de sus productos químicos, que los manejen con más precaución para evitar los impactos negativos en mi comunidad, como es el cáncer y las enfermedades respiratorias. Es importante cuidarnos unos a otros. La vida es corta, hay que vivirla con alegría y con salud. Este es un país, una nación donde sí se puede. Repitamos todos, sí se puede. Feliz Navidad para todos y que Dios los bendiga a todos con amor.
Hello, my name is Abigail Ramirez. I work with Leadership Council. I'm a policy advocate, and I've had the pleasure of working with Ms. Lozano for 3 years, and I'm going to be trying my best to translate, but I don't think I could fully capture her passion, so I apologize for that, but I will attempt. Good morning to everyone. My name is Blanca Lozano, and I come from Merced County. My hometown is Delhi. I come here today to tell you about the high levels of contamination my town faces. High levels of arsenic and other contaminants that groundwater absorbs, as well as the impacts to the air quality. caused by these same contaminants and chemicals used by the agricultural sector. This has caused very serious health problems like cancer to children and seniors. It is good that the agricultural sector farms and grows the products we eat, like fruits and vegetables. However, we need a balance in the use of these harmful chemicals and chemicals that they are used, and we need to make sure that they're used with precautions to prevent negative impacts like cancer and other respiratory illnesses in my community. It is important to take care of one another. Life is short. We need to live it with health and joy. Merry Christmas to everyone. This is a state and a nation where it is possible. Repeat after me. It is possible. Sí se puede.
Sí se puede.
Our final speaker is Raylan Butcher from the California Homeless Union Impact. She'll be speaking on the impact of the campfires and homelessness. She's also known as the mayor of the homeless in Marysville. So welcome, Raylan.
Raylan, go ahead and come on up. Go ahead, Raylan.
I wrote rather a long speech, but
So Raylan, can you bring the microphone more?
today I've come here to speak of the impact of the Northern California fire in Paradise, California. 50,000 people have been displaced. Paradise is a neighboring town to my own. No fault of their own, the homeless arrival has worsened the state's housing crisis and raised the possibility that they could be evicted from the region again. Not by fire, but by the scarcity of suitable dwellings. Hotels and motels are full all the way from Sacramento to Redding. The vacancy rate in the rental market, which hovered about 3% before the fire, has fallen to nearly zero. The new homeless are now unable to find single-family dwellings or homes, and they have lost everything. They are now resorting to renting rooms and buying recreational vehicles, travel trailers, anything that they can, put a roof over their family's home. My family member was one of the ones that was missing, and still they haven't found her. She was only 57. Where her house sit, her neighbor said when they found me that she had been actually vaporized, and that possibly they would never find a lot of the remains. This is one of the hardest things that has hit my whole happening in 59 years of my life. Because most of the people that lived on that hill are a lot of my friends and family. I call them my family because the homeless, I don't even know if they've been accounted for. They lived on the outside of town, so therefore we don't know where they are. The fire probably hit them the fastest, the first. And it's really been hard on all of my people, the homeless in Marysville.
It's okay.
For some of their family members are also missing. As of to date, there's only 25 that are in the missing list. There's been over 3,000 or so that have been found. There's 88 people that died in the fire. They have been able to identify as human remains. There's been many errors in the reports that came in. I'm trying to really hold back my tears because I really want to be known. What happened in Paradise is the most terrible thing I've ever
numbers that's coming up today, we just got a report from Julie down in Chico. The homeless now there, since the Paradise Fire, they're classifying them as regular homeless. So, and the Walmart where they're at, there was a big convention, about maybe 300 or so to 500 people. They put them to the Grizzly Fairgrounds, they went Live Oak. They dispersed them, these people from the parking lot and from the field. They were so scared because a lot of them, they don't know what it's like to be homeless. They've never been out there. So the first thing they think about is food. Well, the buses came, and they, of course, the ones that didn't know anything, right, they jumped on, they went to Grizzly. They have about 120 beds, up to 200 beds there. Now, after they did this, in the past 2 days, 3 days, the report was that they had filtered back over there, and that the people that are going to be in compliant, as of today, they're going to send it to another fairground, but the ones tomorrow that are not going to be in compliant are going to be asked to leave and be arrested. Now, so they are no longer Paradise homeless victims, they are just another homeless person. It's terrible to say, but that's true. And there is another encampment there that is going to be also ran over and everything displaced, and it's a very communicable, very respected, a nice place. I guess I haven't been up there yet. I was going to go up there this week, but they are planning on taking everything that they own also. And this was an existing encampment that's already been there. The animals, we went up to Chico. The animals reported was about 1,000 animals. When we got up there was about 130 animals, about 60 or 70 cats, but they've been kind of straying in and straying off of here. In Yuba County at the fairgrounds there was about 60. We went there also and took care of some of them. We talked to a few families that was there directly impacted by that, and when they went up there after they were released to go up there to their places, when they went to go back, they had no place to go back to. Their help was done. So they put them out in the parking lot. And that's what we have, that's the latest updates of what's going on. So the majority of people, they're really scared. They need some veterans, somebody to show them. I can tell you that it's going to rain, and you go out there and it's going to rain. But if I don't tell you that you got a jacket, you don't know to get a jacket, you're going to go out there and get soaked, and of course you're going to get sick. These people, they don't know where to go. They don't know that they're going to have to stand in line. They don't know that they're going to have to face all the headwinds. Everything that there is, and food is a necessity to every human being in this world. And your minds start to act a little bit different and a lot different when you don't get that. And when you're scared, compiled by, they're finding out that the animals now, I think Fred Shaker right here, he was mentioning about the animals in the psychiatric part as far as behavioral. They're finding that the emotional damage from the animals is coming through. Now, that's just to say the animals, per se, these people that get the post-traumatic stress, they haven't even seen that yet or even feel that, but I have myself, because for 2 years we had our stuff, so the post-traumatic took a couple years for me to come out to wake up. So, I don't know how to tell them that it ain't going to get any better. I just don't know how to tell them.
Shortly after the fire, I seen an old friend of mine. He just kind of showed up in my town, and he found me. He lived in Paradise for more than 30 years. I only seen him when we needed to see each other. For some reason, he showed up, and we talked. And I knew that I was there. My calling for him was to just be there. He was broke when he was really broke when I came upon him in high school. His family was very, very poor. He heard work that was in Paradise, so we moved there. He was homeless in Marysville, and he told me, Raylan, I gotta get out of here. He said, this isn't for me. He said, but I think Paradise will be. When he went to Paradise, he got some work as a carpenter, helping build parts of this mostly little town on a hill. Paradise was very beautiful, a lot of retirees and commuters. My friend went there to help them because they had a lot of them were veterans and just people that just trying to be with their loved ones for their last years. A very good friend of mine was 95 years old. And him and his wife, they decided that they couldn't rebuild, they couldn't do anything. So they grabbed their lawn chairs and they sat down in their lawn and they waited for the fire to come and they burned up together. When their remains were found, I was notified because I'm like their daughter. This is one of the most hardest things that I've really done in a long time. When my friend came to talk to me, he said, "Raylyn, I have nothing but a dirty coat that's on my back." And he took off his hat and he goes, "Do you remember this?" And I said, "Yes, I do." And it was a cap that he had had from high school. It was the only thing that he had memories. He said, "My time, I think, came, and I think I'm just going to walk." He turned around and he left. I haven't seen him since the fire. All of my friends that I was in high school with, I went to college for 4 years. I was an honors student. I got a scholarship and then went into medicine. And I made pills. I made medicine. I did very well. But when I came home, I just seen the same thing going on. And so I went another route. And I thought my calling was to help the homeless. And as I began to get older, my mother would tell me, "Don't go around them, they're bad people." They're not bad people, not at all. Every day I go out, I work with them every day. And I do whatever I can. I pass out shoes and blankets, and I see them smile. But in our world today, a lot of people are haters, and they don't understand. They don't understand that they have a life. They're human, they're citizens also. I guess what I'm really trying to say is that the people that lived in paradise, a lot of them will never be found. And the ones that I feel that won't ever, ever even be recognized are the homeless that lived on the outskirts of town. Those were a lot of my friends, a lot of my people, as I call them.
On another note, I do gotta say that we've got the homeless is a solution for the homeless. The homeless has got to help the homeless. We interviewed a lot of people, and one of the main things I did find out is that the homeless is there helping the homeless because they truly know they are participants. As I heard that lady say, they're participants and there's actors. There's the ones that really know, and there's the ones that go into situations that get prepared, but for certain things they can't. But we've got to really rise up, and we've got to really depend on one another, and communication is a must. And know this, that these people that are scared to death about knowing where they're going, the jobs that have not been burned up at the businesses, and people that can't get to work because of the tide, they're on their knees in a tent somewhere that they're getting kicked around. Now these jobs are depending on you, but I'm sorry, Kathy, I can't hire you because you can't. I'm sorry that happened to you, but I need somebody more dependable than you. Well, you know, in the same sense, you've got to be a little bit more passionate and concerned for what society has to offer everybody. Mm-hmm. And that's an equal opportunity to have a house, right? To have a dog, to have things in your life, personal property that you enjoy, that you love to enjoy. You have that right to enjoy it, and nobody, God forbid, nobody can take that right away from you or anybody else.
So we just want to say thank you for your testimony so much. And Brian and Raylyn, for all of you who may not know the incredible work that the two of these people do for our community. we want to say thank you. And many of you may not know that Ray Lynn is known as the mayor. And it's argued like the mayor of the homeless community in Marysville. Is that what you're known as? And what rock stars you are, and how proud I am, me personally, just to be a part of this work with the Poor People's Campaign. For the two of you, the scripture talks about, for such a time as this, the powerful witness, the moral witness that you bring. And I have understood that it is reported that those who are now homeless because of this catastrophic fire have found more help with the homeless community and have found more help than even more than the Red Cross and all the other charities combined. And we want to say thank you for your work and what you do. So can we just give them our thanks? What I'd like to do is, if it's okay, we have just sort of shifted to a more powerful moment. I'm just going to go ahead and say a word of prayer.
Yes.
Pray for the two of you. Is that?
We need to be out of the room at 1. And
all right, I'm just going to say it real quick.
Okay.
Gracious and loving God, we are grateful for the witness and ministry and the work that is happening with Raylan and Brian. May they continue to do their work with the homeless community, and may they be strengthened in all that they do. And we pray for those who have lost their homes and who are looking for new life. And Lord God, we just pray all this in your name. And everyone says amen.
I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today here. I hope that legislators are listening to our testimony and know that we are going to hold them accountable every minute of every day until our demands are fulfilled. And that's, we're going to end poverty. Can we say it? End poverty now?
End poverty now.
¿Se puede?
Se puede.
¿Se puede?
Se puede.
Sí se puede. Sí se puede. Sí se puede. Okay, thank you everybody. If you'd like to join us for a Northern California Poor People's Campaign open house celebration, it's going to be hosted by Valerie Williams and Mark Marin at 605 10th Street. They're going to have some food and some camaraderie, come and break bread, and let's get to know each other and build community. Thank you.
Yes, forward together, not one step back.